So those moments, like I was saying, when I stared down into that ravine and felt that sense of dread. Like when I managed to pull that off, like design something that causes me to experience something unanticipated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's why it's like, okay, this has to go into the mod, like
Right.
no matter what at this point, right? Because it's actually good enough that it's causing me to feel something. Same thing with the wolves howling, and me. Well, I don't know if I ever completed that thought, but yeah, there was one point where I stopped playing for the night at one point because listened. I'd been listening to the wolves for like 10 minutes, hidden in my hole at night, right, and hearing them howling and getting increasingly unnerved. And then I heard the much lower pitch howl of the beast at some point, and I basically lost it. I was just like, okay, I gotta stop playing. I can't handle this. I can't deal with this right now. And so yeah, that was a big win for me too. Is
Right,
because again,
right.
I know exactly how this works, and it still managed to unnerve me.
That's a sign you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's the way I take it. When it happens, it's rare. It's rare that I manage to do that to myself. So when it does happen, yeah, I have a bit of a tendency to go on about it because it does. It just makes me really happy when I manage to pull that off.
Right, right. Oh, well, that's a lot of mobs. Let's get out of that hole.
And I so don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm
I'm pretty lost
beating on
myself.
cows with a stone axe.
I do have an absurd amount of food, though. That shovel.
Do you?
Yeah, I have 13 cooked steaks and then almost, let's see, a stack of pork chops. I got a lot of food.
I'm okay. I'm in a snowy region
Mm-hmm.
in a plain with some oddly shaped mountains. I'm hoping this might be the future site of our phallus monument.
Ooh. I'll work my way up to... I thought I saw a mountain nearby. Let's see if I can get up. Get a
I don't know, it's
vantage
a
point.
shot in the dark. That could be absolutely anywhere, but
Yeah.
it seems like the right conditions.
I've
And
seen...
I haven't seen anything, any kind of non-snow biome.
I've come to the edges of a couple, but I've spent the majority of my time in a... I think it's called a taiga? Whatever they're called.
Yeah, but I don't think they're all taiga. It's like, because you still get the plains, you still get the mountainous regions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they're technically taiga. I haven't actually looked at that code, but I think they might just be like cold mountains or something. Like, I
Gotcha.
think there's a mix.
Oh, that's a wolf. We cool, wolf? We're cool. We're cool. It's all good. I'm just gonna continue onward. Yeah. You had to go testing. We're doing well.
Yeah, I know, man. You're perfectly permitted to hold that over my head indefinitely.
Oh,
That
and
could be one of
I plan on it.
yeah, that could be one of those incidents that's never forgotten. Like I totally screwed the pooch on that one.
Uh,
It gives
think.
you an indication of how much I hate bugs. It's like, oh, what's that? Must test it.
See if I can get lucky with one bone. No. He just looked at me like an asshole.
Well, actually, that raises a question I have for you.
Yes.
Why do you feel motivated to collect multiple bones before attempting to tame a wolf? Like I've seen you mention that a few times in your videos.
Because normally when I have a single bone, it's just like a crapshoot whether or not the wolf gets tamed.
But you realize that the like chances per bone are constant, right?
Right, right. But I mean, if I have,
Like I think it's 1 in 8 or something, and it's going to be like 1 in 8 for every single bone.
it's, I don't want that letdown of, I tried to tame a wolf and
Ah,
utterly
I see.
failed. So if I have several bones, I'm just like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot now because there's a
So it's
higher,
psychological.
yeah, yeah, more
Okay.
than anything. Hmm.
I think I've even seen you walk by wolves, not wanting to use your single bone on them.
Yep. Yep. I normally don't even try unless I have at least like two or three. It's like not worth the try. Hmm. Yep. None of this looks familiar.
I don't know where I am. I see.
It's just snowy plains.
But isn't that true of Minecraft in general?
Oh, pretty much. Especially for me. I never ever know where I am.
No, but even when you know where you are, you don't.
I guess you really have no frame of reference. The only
How did I get here? Why am I here?
point of reference we ever have is essentially our original spawn point. It's our only constant.
Wait, was there another one? Oh, the strongholds.
Oh, I guess, yeah. Was there up to 3 in a world? Is that how that works? We've actually
I had
found
this.
more than
I know
one,
that
so-
well because I had this whole big plan for them before I decided to drop Minecraft and move on to Return to Home.
I personally cannot freaking wait for Return to Home. I'm very,
Yeah,
very
me
excited.
too, man. It'll be like, honestly, it'll be a huge load off my mind to get started on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've really, like, as people on the forums know, I really want to leave Better Than Wolves in a state where I consider it a complete game, right?
Right.
This, this might be a matter of professionalism again or something like that, but it just does not feel right to me to, after having spent 2 years on it, to just say, okay, I'm done and, get the fuck out of Dodge.
Right.
So I keep, what this has resulted in for me is I keep setting dates where it's like, okay, June 1st, I'm going to be done, and then it's like, no, man, I got to take care of this, like I got to take care of the food value on mushrooms or whatever. Like there's 100 little things that I feel really need to be taken care of, before I can move on. And that list is getting shorter and shorter all the time.
Well, that's good to hear.
But yeah, for me too. But what that's resulted in for me though is that, like, this is a big step for me. Like I worked in the game industry for a long time and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never tried to go like full-fledged indie before, and just do my own game from scratch alone exactly the way I want to do it, right?
Right.
And that's extremely exciting, but with a project of that magnitude and like, I'm kind of putting my livelihood on the line and everything else in taking this step.
Right.
And like having never done this specifically before, like self-doubt is bound to come into that, right?
Exactly.
And it's like late at night, you're tired and it's like, man, can I really do this? Like, am I completely out to lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I going to end up living on the street? All this kind of shit. The kind of thoughts that occur to you late at night.
Right.
And the thing is, the longer this Better Than Wolves period or this wrap-up period goes on, the more of those kind of nights that I'm having, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like it's hard not to let the doubt catch up with you,
Right.
And I know when I sit down and spend that first full day coding on Return to Home, like I'm immediately going to feel 100 times better about that. It's kind of like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Where I just know that once I firmly set myself on that course, it's going to be a lot easier for me overall. But yeah, just at a personal level, it's it's a big deal. Wait, Icy?
Yeah. Yes.
I just came to an area I haven't been before,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a tree or floating leaves decaying.
Oh.
There are spider webs sitting on the ground around me. So somebody has been here before.
Okay, I'm gonna head back towards where I just came from in the hopes that you were.
Okay, I'm gonna stay at this location.
And by that I mean vaguely back towards where I came from because I'm
Yeah.
a little lost.
I'm gonna see. Actually, maybe I can build something on a hill or something.
Ooh.
Okay, there's.
As excited as I am for Return to Home,
Mhm.
I'm personally very glad that you are, taking the time to do the wrap up on Better Than Wolves. It's just a nice show of commitment for something that, you're producing for free.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before too, but like, and it's sad. Like sometimes I think of this and I shake my head, right? Like, I worked professionally in the game industry for around 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, I put out about a dozen commercial titles. Yet somehow, Better Than Wolves is the thing I have achieved in my life that I'm most proud of. I'm not just talking about games, but anything, right? And it's kind of sad for me in the sense that, you know, as a kid, I basically dreamed of working in the game industry, right?
Right.
And, you know, basically I achieved it, right? I got to work with some of my childhood heroes. I accomplished everything that I dreamed of as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
right, in terms of the game industry. And yet somehow, you know, a few years later, after putting that behind me, like I said, the thing I wound up most proud of was modding somebody else's game in my spare time, right?
Right.
Which is just kind of like it's a slap in the face when something like that happens, right? It's like because you invest all this time and effort into something, um, to basically realize that no, this isn't what I really wanted and never gave me the kind of satisfaction I was looking for, right?
Right.
You know, obviously a very important lesson to learn in life, but it's still, you know, there's an element of tragedy to it, you know,
Right,
when
right.
you realized how much time you spent on something that you didn't actually want as much as you thought you did, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, like from a personal standpoint, like yeah, there's the aspect of professionalism and everything. It's like me not wanting to leave the game incomplete, but there's also a strong emotional attachment between me and Better Than Wolves. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like it it symbolizes kind of you could almost say a turning point in my life where I realized what I needed to do in order to be happy, you know.
Right.
And which will hopefully lead, you know, if things work out, lead to bigger and better things in the future, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I could have easily, like, you know, continued working at jobs that were driving me nuts, you know. So yeah, it's like, you know, like I said, just kind of a strong personal attachment. Like there's definitely a sense with Better Than Wolves that it's my baby, you know.
Right. Right. I could see that.
Well, I guess it's hard to escape. You know, I've certainly felt that way about games that I've worked on in the past to a more limited extent, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where it's hard when you spend a year or two of your life working on something to not develop that kind of emotional attachment to it, you know.
I'm high up on a mountain watching a lone zombie just gorge himself on the wildlife.
So how are you feeling, Icy?
I'm a little tense, a
A little tense?
little cold,
Oh,
doing all right.
I'm standing on an ice floe, and I'm tempted to spend my night out here, even though it would be a complete waste of time.
My night is wasted. I can make that clear. I kind of made a pillar on the top of the mountain, and yeah, just spending.
Oh, fuck. I did it, Icy.
What'd you do?
I sent myself back to punching wood. I have logs in my inventory, and I don't have an axe to chop them up.
I have managed to not do that yet, so pretty proud of that one.
Which brings us back to thought processes.
Right.
So, yeah, why I mentioned that before I got us both killed.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about the whole socks and boots thing. And what I try to do a lot of times is interject what almost seem like trivial decisions
Mm-hmm.
into the play process or into the play experience to keep the player engaged and thinking. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, you're running around killing animals. You get some leather, you get some wool. There's that consideration of, oh, okay, I need to make boots with the leather because I can't do that with the cloth. Okay.
Right.
Very small thing, but still, it keeps some neurons firing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know one area where I was quite happy with the way it worked out for the mod was with hardcore movement. Right. Because one of the most boring things in Minecraft is just walking across large areas of land, right? Getting from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's funny about hardcore movement is that it'll slow down that process a lot of times, right? But the interesting part of it is that you end up, as you're walking around, actually considering your route now. Should I go up that mountain? Should I go around it? Should I go through those grass? Oh, there's snow there. I can walk on the ice. All this kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, and again, it's a small thing, but all of a sudden the process of just navigating from point A to point B becomes more engaging, right?
Right.
Like you're actually thinking instead of just holding down W in a straight line,
Exactly.
right? Like you're weaving around, you're punching grass, you're doing freaking something,
Exactly.
right? Which makes the game just a little more interactive and um, a little more worthy of thought. You know, it's like you're more engaged as a result of stuff like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in the end, yeah, whereas I discarded the idea of socks wearing down on gravel and all that bullshit, I ended up realizing that, well, just by virtue of there not being any socks, right, it adds something to the overall gameplay experience. Like it adds that little decision where, you and I even discussed it earlier in the game as, oh, we have X leather, okay, let's make some boots out of that.
Right.
Right. And use the wool for toques, and it's just that little momentary consideration, but
It keeps
basically
you engaged. Yeah, I see that.
yeah, well, it's basically kind of my underlying philosophy that is gameplay, right? Like that, at least for video games, that gameplay is basically the thought process that the player is going through. It's not like the board you're playing on, or it's not the computer, and it's not the graphics and everything else, which can all aid in kind of creating suspension of disbelief, right? Which is basically when your brain gets into the game world so much that you forget it's not real. So that's kind of the overall sense of immersion. But once you're immersed in the world, like in order to keep you there, right? Like you have to have these thought processes going on, right? Like you have to have these kind of moment by moment considerations that keep your mind engaged instead of thinking about, oh, well, I got to go pick up the kids from school or whatever, right? So you forget about your kids, social services comes and takes them away, and you get to play more Minecraft.
Exactly. No, everyone wins, really.
Really? Yeah, absolutely. Your kids probably hate you anyway.
You heard it here first, folks. Flowerchild hates your kids.
Yeah.
Oh, so one question that I don't think I can work in naturally, but I've had requests to ask this.
I've already tried to turn you down as nicely as I can, Icy.
Well,
but if you keep pursuing this,
okay,
I'm gonna have to get nasty.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's somewhat related. It's a little bit of a personal question.
Yep.
The IRC wanted to know: do you have a treasure trail?
A what?
A treasure trail?
Treasure trail?
Yeah.
What the fuck is a treasure trail?
You should Urban Dictionary that.
I'm too busy killing pigs on an ice floe. But it must be juicy because you don't even want to explain what it is.
It's not that. Just a line of hair running down your chest to magical places.
Who the hell was asking this?
Destin was asking that.
Ay. Another one I have to beat off with a stick. Oh. Yeah, I'm a hairy bastard.
Okay, cool. I've done my duty in asking the question.
What an odd question. Okay.
It really was.
No, fair enough. You may need to cue music for questions like that in the future.
I think I should. And then the next question is, do you want to stop for another cigarette break?
Oh, that sounds delightful. But I'm stuck out on an ice floe in the middle of the night.
Shall we wait till the morning? And safety?
Let me dig a little hidey hole here.
Okay.
I think I'm safe enough. Like, I'm realizing that ice floes are remarkably defensible positions.
I'm on a noob tower at the top of the mountain, but I don't think anything can actually get me up here.
You towered?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I see.
I was looking for you, and then it
just kind of happened.
It got dark, and I was staring at cows. So,
fair enough.
I made a spider shield with my crafting table and my furnace.
I don't think there's much more I could do about the towers.
Yeah.
I'll think about that over a smoke.
Okay, we'll be back soon.
Toodles.